Hi guys, how you doing? Here I am, stood outside the Newcastle United training ground. I've been inside there this morning watching training on match day -1 ahead of Newcastle's match against PSG at St James's Park tomorrow night. Now we will get to the training footage shortly, and I'll show you some extended clips of the players being put through their paces. But I think the concerning issue is that there were a few players absent from training today. Now we all expected Sven Botman to be absent. Of course, he's got that knee problem that forced him to miss the match against Burnley at the weekend. So Sven Botman was missing training today as a result of that. And so too was Joelinton, who of course is nursing that hamstring injury that saw him substituted against Burnley on Saturday. So both those players missing from the session this morning, which you'll see very shortly. But more concerning was my original tweet this morning. When the players came out to train, there was no sign of either Sandro Tonali or Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson did appear a short time later to join up with his mates, and although Sandro Tonali wasn't in any of the footage we saw this morning, open training is for 15 minutes for international rights broadcasters. Although there was no sign of Tonali, I'm told that he did turn up a little bit later and took part in the full session. So there was obviously a concern over Tonali this morning. There was no reason given as to why he was absent at the start, but he did join in a little bit later. So perhaps just getting a little bit of extra treatment before taking part in training. But Sandro Tonali there and involved. He did fly back to Italy, I'm told, at the weekend after the win against Burnley. The players were given Sunday off, and he went back for a day just to catch up with some family before flying back in and joining back up with the squad at the start of the week ahead of what is of course going to be a crazy old week, with Paris Saint-Germain and Kylian Mbappe set to arrive in Newcastle later on today ahead of that clash at St James's Park, the first Champions League game we've seen there in 20 years. Now, we all saw the light display last night, I think. If you didn't see it in person, I'm sure you saw it on social media, and that has whetted the appetite ahead of what is going to be an exciting couple of days. I think the atmosphere come kick-off at St James's Park tomorrow night is just going to be electric, and I think it's going to be an emotional moment for many of the supporters and players alike. I spoke to Dan Burn and Sean Longstaff yesterday. They say they're still pinching themselves at the prospect of playing Champions League football at St James's Park, and it's something they thought that would never happen. But anyway, it's all about injury issues today and ensuring that Newcastle have as strong a team as possible. It looks as like Botman will be missing, and that Jamal Lascelles will continue at the heart of the defence following impressive showings against Manchester City last midweek, and then of course Burnley at the weekend. So huge blow losing Botman. In my opinion, Sven Botman is Newcastle's most important player, given just what he brings to that defence. Yes, Bruno and yes, Trippier. But I think in Botman as a left-sided centre-back, it's really difficult to replace him, and I think it's going to be a really big game for the likes of Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles in the heart of that defence should Botman miss it. And I have to say, with him missing training today, in all likelihood he will not play against PSG tomorrow night. But as I say, the good news is Sandro Tonali did arrive later on to take part in training. Callum Wilson also took part in the session despite missing out on the warm-up at the start. So I would expect both of those to be involved, and I would expect Tonali to start with Wilson probably on the subs bench, and Alexander Isak starting as the number 9, the centre forward in Eddie Howe's 4-3-3. So that's the injury news from the training ground this morning. As I say, some footage set to follow this. I'll have more content later on today at the Newcastle news conference, followed by the PSG news conference, and then we'll be live at PSG training later on in Sky Sports News, and I can bring you some of the footage here, Kylian Mbappe and all, here on the YouTube channel as well as Sky Sports News. So stay tuned later on and enjoy training. Cheers guys, speak soon.
Okay, go for it.
You won't be here for a time at the moment.
Yeah, I know, okay.
Here, all right.